Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to talk about the Duo Spearhead Ryuki line. We're going to break down a bunch of these sinking minnows. I'm going to show you guys the differences between them so you can decide which one is best for your application in the waters that you are fishing. So we're going to dive right in. We're actually going to start with the smallest offering that they have, and this is the Duo Spearhead Ryuki. This is the 38S. This thing is 38 millimeters. And yes, the S stands for sinking. This is a very thin bait, as you can see here. There is a slight knock to the bait. Now, this is a very special bait. This is the smallest little crank sinking minnow that I have found that still maintains great castability, even on a not super sophisticated BFS reel like my Quattro BFS or like a Cast King Kestrel. This thing is phenomenal. I think it comes in at under 3 grams. So casting is not the easiest thing unless you are familiar with bait finesse gear. This is not going to be your traditional American bait finesse lure that you can just kind of sling out there with 10-pound braid. This takes a little bit more of a wrist flick, a little bit more finesse. But this thing is this is like my secret weapon. This thing is so deadly on those small little bodies of water where you just don't think there are any fish at all. This will get the most weary bass to bite. It looks exactly like a super small minnow that you see in all these ponds you go to that just no other lure can replicate. This thing is so good. This is what I go to when it's insanely hot down here in Central Florida and these fish are just locked down. I'll pull out that little guy and I know I can get some interest. Even if it is like multi-species, I'll get a big old gill or something to come eat that thing. It's such a blast. We're going to move up in size from there. From there, we have the 45, and I'm going to include this together with the 50. Okay, so this is the 45 and the 50S. So this is like the big brother and then the even bigger brother of the 38S. Now, these are kind of the staples of the line until more recently. So the 45 and the 50, these are very common sizes for sinking trout minnows. They're the same body style, very thin. They have a slight little knock to them. And a similar action. So these thinner bodied baits are going to have a little bit tighter of a wobble, a little bit tighter of a head hunt, but still very deadly. So the reason I put these in together is because these are both baits that I personally do not use in my sinking minnow arsenal. And I'll explain why in a second. So recently, Duo Spearhead came out with, I guess recently is kind of a loose term, but the updated version of both of those is the 46S and the 51S. So very similar length, but as you can see, the body size and the body shape is different than those guys. It is not so thin. It is more of like a triangle where it's real fat at the bottom and then it kind of thins up on top. The reason for that is they're fitting more weight into the same body size. So the 46S, this thing has no rattle at all to maximize the amount of weight in here. It's just jammed full of lead. And then this bait over here, the 51S, still has a lot more weight, but it does maintain a slight rattle. So that's not the only difference. These baits also have a much wider, more aggressive wobble, but they hold down much better. So this is more of like your square bill style of action. But the reason that I use these over the 45 and the 50S, the originals, is these just fish a lot better in current, which is what they're designed for. So this 46S in particular has been just an absolute rock star for me in some of these North Carolina creeks and small little rivers here. This thing just cuts through current like nothing, but it still is so approachable, so compact. And this thing was crushing native brook trout, rainbow trout, brown trout. They love this thing. It was super easy to handle on my ultralight Dobbins rod. And this thing has just won a spot in my arsenal permanently. I even use it down here in South Florida or in Central Florida on my big lakes. I'll actually bomb this thing out, let it sink down a bit, and I'll just kind of work and bob this thing almost like a lipless crankbait down by the grass. They crush it. This thing is such a versatile bait that I think is just super underutilized. and has a lot of applications across all bodies of water. So we've taken care of the smaller guys, okay? Now I'm going to show you guys an interesting one. This is the 61S. So this is still in the original line, so thinner body, so not quite as squatty at the bottom, maintains a rattle there. But as you can see, the body shape is a little bit more unique. I really like this body shape here. So like I said, I don't really use the 45 and the 50 because I'd prefer to use the 46 and the 51. I prefer their action. I prefer their fishability, but there's no alternative for this size here. And at this size, we have an extremely castable sinking minnow at 61, but it's still manageable on a BFS setup. So I will say this bait, it doesn't have the best just straight retrieve action, especially in still water, but this bait is incredible on a dance technique. So if you're bringing it in and you're giving it little pops, kind of like, again, like I was talking about, like a little lipless crankbait, this thing will dance and pop and really shoot to the side while it's wobbling and be super erratic. I've caught bass in just local ponds in Florida here, just doing that exact same thing. This is a bait that they probably have never seen before because this is a bait designed for trout fishing. It's just super unique. That brings us to the little oddball here. They call it the Quattro. So this is the Quattro 70S. So it's 70 millimeters. Quattro because it has 4 little segments here. And this thing is super, super unique. So it is sinking, which makes it a little bit tricky to fish in still water, grassy conditions, but it's not designed for that. It's designed for little creeks. It's for trout. So this thing is super snaky in the water. Very, very snaky. You can dance it. It's super erratic, very, very natural. It's just a fun bait to play around with. It does exactly what you think it's going to do. It is not, it's got that wide kind of square bill type of bill. So it's got a nice action. If you just straight retrieve it, it's just like a nice little snake. If you dance it, it'll be even more. It's almost like a glide bait, like a choppy glide bait. Really fun little bait. Haven't had much action on it just because it doesn't have a ton of application in my local waters. But next time I travel up to do some trout fishing, this guy's going to be in my box for sure. I hope you guys enjoyed. If there's something that I missed or maybe a bait that you think I should check out, please leave it in the comments. In the meantime, guys, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.